How could it be possible that inflation has risen so much and interest rates need to go up much higher? We're in the middle of a perfect storm, and yet there's no recession? Well, let's break it down. First things first, Fed's Mary Daly says, I don't feel the pain of inflation anymore. That's right, the San Francisco Fed president that makes over $400,000 a year doesn't feel the inflation. I bet you feel real good about a statement like that. You see, you've got these group of people who are simply tone deaf to everything that's been happening. Look at what Powell has said. No, I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't think anything's going to be an issue. I mean, all of this, of course, partly propaganda. We do see that. But at the same time, much of this is a group of people trying to decide what's going on for the vast majority of individuals, and they just don't see eye to eye. They're just in a completely different world. Well, we saw what happened with the change of the term recession, like what it means. And yet today, there's so many articles I see every day. Top 5 reasons why we're not in a recession, why this may not be a recession, this is a recession, this isn't a recession, and so on. They changed the definition. Okay, so we're not going to get that anymore. We're not going to be told there's a recession on. It's just not going to happen. This right here, and one point I wanted to make, by the way, with the job situation really quickly, it's important to understand a lot of companies, they had the labor shortages, they're trying to get people, and now they hired those people on, and now they feel like, uh-oh, I don't want to let them go again. I really could use that extra cash, increased productivity, but I'm scared to let them go again and then try to hire them back in 6 months or a year. So I'll hang on. And that right there is kind of covering up what we would have seen with higher unemployment rates. Okay, look at this. This comes from Chris Williamson, the chief business economist at S&P Global Market Intelligence. Okay, high-level economist saying this. Right here, just showing us, excluding the lockdown months, the overall fall in output was the largest recorded since the global financial crisis and signals a strong likelihood that the economy will contract for a third consecutive quarter. Are they going to consider that then? If there's a third quarter of contraction? Are they going to say, well, okay, fine, it's a recession now? Or are they going to simply say, nope, not giving in? Ultimately, it doesn't matter because what they say is generally used for their own purposes whenever they want to. They'll flip the script a month from now. Who knows? Or it could be a year from now, it could be 10 years from now. Whatever suits them. A third contraction. We're going to see that? Well, I want to show you this. Surging retail inventories are swamping U.S. warehouses. Logistics real estate giant predicts that growth in inventories could lead to a need for another 500 million square feet of warehouse space. Weren't we just saying that there was a problem with inventories? Weren't we just saying that Amazon is not going to open up as many fulfillment centers as they suggested, and so many other things? And now simply that there's just so much stuff all of a sudden that they need more space to keep the stuff. I mean, something is really off today, to say the least. I wanted to highlight this here. My friends in Australia, Australia's trade surplus swells to fresh record in boost to GDP. Exports driven, exports driven by metals, gold, and grain. Imports by travel. New treasurer likely to welcome boost to tax from commodities. I'm interested to see what happens, but the point here is simply that when you have a country that is rich in resources, you've got to use those resources, particularly in a time in which the world seems to be spiraling down. This is important. It's important to have those exports. It's important to be able to actually continuously bring in revenue for your country, just like a company would. You always want to have new services, new products, and new things to offer so that you're not stuck waiting for better times. If what you have to offer maybe isn't good anymore, maybe the market doesn't want it anymore, well, that's a big problem. Okay. Just like coal, for instance. You just see year after year diminishing coal, like less coal mines, less usage. And what happens? Suddenly, oh, we're going green energy overnight. And now they say, oh, we can't get the output we need. We can't even get the natural gas. There's lockdowns there. There's, the supply chain issues. There's Russia, Ukraine. Oh, we need to go back to coal. And now suddenly, whoever's got the coal looking pretty attractive. I mean, things are really just completely mixed up today. Prices of commodities are well off their high, but it can easily turn around. And we'll talk more about stocks in just a second here, but I just want to show you this. To look at the economy overall, what does your country actually provide? And does the market need that in the next year, two, three? If it's going to be a recession, they're not going to claim it is. If it is going to be a recession, well, then what are we going to see in terms of different countries? Because is what they have really attractive? Summer gasoline demand in the US drops below 2020 levels. Unbelievable. Okay. Can you believe that the Americans are technically driving less? Is it less stuff being transported? Probably not. Here you can see it. So this black line is the 4-week average in 2022 so far. You can see that. It is below that blue line there is from 2015 to 2019. And it's below that, just showing you perhaps that people are simply affected by the prices at the pump. I was watching this video, it was actually like a comedy type of video, short, and it was in an area in Chicago, and the guy came into a store and he said, I got $4 on that pump. And he was paying for the $4. $4. And I know this is, an individual that's probably dealing with hard times and so on. I get it. But $4. It just makes you think of, how far is that $4 going to get you? I'm sure it's not the only person. It's just something that I saw. It's unfortunate. So what do we see? Panama right now, dealing with issues just like so many of the other countries I've mentioned. Prices are rising to uncontrollable levels. Dialogue table reaches agreement on food price capping. So now we're getting into price controls. The government is stepping in and saying this is where it's got to be. This generally leads to many, many problems later on. It's a short-term solution that may very well not work out. Panama's been dealing with a lot. I'm not in the country. I can't say what's going on. But what I have seen when you have capital controls, when you have price controls, usually the floor just falls out underneath it and it becomes quite destructive. Okay. So you can see what's happening. People are protesting. People are dealing with a lot. Like I said, not the only country. And this is just showing us the different companies, tons of different companies. It's not just one sector. It's all over the place, in fact. But companies are laying people off. So we see extreme examples like Robinhood laying off 23% of their staff, SoundCloud, 20%. And you go down the list, okay? But we also have Walmart. We also have Tesla. We have Microsoft, other companies around as well. And what does this tell us? That usually the first round is simply getting rid of the weakest performers. They want to get rid of that. They usually get rid of 5%, maybe 10%. But when we start getting up to these 20% levels, it's quite extreme. Okay, let's get into this. I want to talk to you about what's happening with the markets and how that directly correlates to what we're seeing today. From profits to pay, JP Morgan's gold secrets spill out in court. I've talked about this 100 times before. Business made more than $100 million each year from 2008. The gold and silver markets are not, like people ask all the time, why isn't the price of gold like this? Why is the price of silver staying like this? Why doesn't it go up? It is the easiest market, apparently, the easiest market to manipulate. time and time and time again, information is released into the public and you just see it every time. Every time. Oh, it was understood. We were all doing it. They were all manipulating the prices, spoofing. So they essentially put in an order, a huge order, and then at the last second they cancel that, and then they go in for that little bit of profit essentially. So by doing these spoofing things, they can trick the market. Look at this. Retail investors, they're the ones that have been buying in recently to a great degree. And the most recent information just showing us that what we're looking at this time is a lot of single stocks rather than ETFs. And it connects me in with this. How a little known stock soared 21,000% to overtake Costco. So this is the ticker symbol, where was it again? HKD. 21,000%. And why? Because just like with other stocks, every retail trader got on in. Now the price has come down from its peak and may continue, who knows? We're talking about a stock that like very recently was at about $50. It is now, I think when I checked the last, it was something like $1,100. $50 to $1,100. What has changed? Nothing. It's a $25 million revenue company, and it is now worth more than Costco. When I see this, I have to think of one thing. It's just so extreme. It's just, that the whole thing of the market is in a state of fear, max fear, capitulation, the bull market is on and all this stuff. Nothing happened yet. So nothing fundamentally has changed from 2021 into now. There was a little bit of a dip and we go on, continue on. Look at the stuff that people are buying today. It's so important to understand that, to understand the psychology behind all of this. And that's going to give you better insight as to what will happen. They're not going to admit a recession is on. The markets still believe today that there is a Fed pivot coming at the end of the year. They're just going at that. And look at what's happened with stocks ever since. Ever since they realized, you know what? They're going to have to cut interest rates. Once that happened, in this period of June into July, the markets have been relentless ever since. They've been going up. And the markets can continue to go up. And they beat their previous record high. Difficult to do without any Federal Reserve easing. Okay, so if the markets do believe, however, start to see that the Federal Reserve isn't there to step in and say, okay, we're going to just pump in a lot of cash, well then, it's going to be a problem. But until then, let's party like it's 1999. All right. Are you subscribed to the channel yet? If not, I got a video every single day of the week. I'm talking 365 for you. You definitely want to make sure you subscribe. Hit that button down below. I will see you on the next one. Take care.